This is episode number 157. 2 things are going to grow your business. 1, connection with your audience. 2, more money. I'm talking about both. That's coming up.
This is the Red Podcast. How to take your idea and make a name for yourself within your industry and beyond. Spread your message. Attract a following. Rise above the noise. Here's your host, David Hooper.
A funeral is something really interesting because no matter who it is, it could be the worst person in the world. You got him up there in a box in the front of the room. Maybe it's ashes in an urn. And people somehow feel compelled to come up and say nice things, even if the guy wasn't very nice. There's something about somebody dying that makes us see humanity. Maybe this guy's a drug addict, alcoholic, womanizer, not paying his child support, yet people will come out of the woodwork and say, oh, he was such a great guy. We really dig deep to find amazing things about people that we've just lost. Interesting thing happening here at Red Podcast. Now that I'm solo, I'm getting a lot of those kind of emails about former co-host Laurel Staples. I've passed them on. I'm going to bring Laurel in for a special co-hosted episode shortly. She's been working a lot on Pro Coach Academy. If you're a coach and you're interested in getting more clients and growing your business, Laurel can help you. That's at 10by10coach.com. I'll link to it directly at redpodcast.com/157. It's always nice to be missed. Laurel has not completely removed herself from Red Podcast. She is just very, very busy. And on that note, when she was here, we did 150 episodes together. She and I had a system. We would get in here. We would knock these episodes out. But now that I'm solo, not so much. The new system is taking a minute to get in order. I'm finishing out a brand new book. I've got some other business projects. While we're in transition, I appreciate you sticking with me. I've got a great topic on this episode. This is something that a lot of people have asked about. This is something that fits my background perfectly. I've mentioned it here on the podcast before. I used to have a huge event in Nashville, Tennessee called 2NMC, Nashville New Music Conference. About 2,500 daytime attendees. We would take over an entire hotel in their conference space. This event took 5 days, and at night, as many as 22 clubs going at one time. Parties, music showcases, other events. It was a big event. Over the years, I've done dozens and dozens of events, everything from smaller events, 30 people, high-end events, let's say $1,000 a pop maybe, and lots of related events, a lot of parties, a lot more showcases, a lot of performances. Because of this, a lot of people ask me about how to do a live event, and that's what I'm talking about on this episode. I'm going to talk about why most events lose money, how to do an event that makes you money, what you need to know, where you need to do it, the type of venues that work and the type of venues that don't work, the specific locations that you need to have your event in, and the specific locations that you should avoid at all costs. What makes a great event, how to price it, how do you set it up, how do you get people in chairs. That's what this episode is about. So here's what you need to know, first of all, that many events lose money. You can't go to an event, count up all the people in the room, then start adding up the money. It doesn't work that way. We had an event just in town, $699 to attend. I'm not sure how many people the venue would hold. I would imagine this was a 500, 600 person event. About a week before this event happened, they say, hey, you know what? We need more diversity at this event. And because of that, here's a code. If you're a female, you can get in the event free. So it's a $700 ticket that a female could get in free with. But there's something else to it. Not only could you get in free if you're a female, you can bring a friend of either gender free as well. So you could get a female ticket and a male ticket, 2 tickets for free, when a few days before they were going for $700 a pop. That happens all the time. You cannot go to an event, count all the people in the room, multiply it by the ticket price that organizers tried to get, and figure out how much money the event is making. Another example of that, the Rolling Stones, a couple of days ago, they came through town, big stadium where the Titans play. Huge. I don't know anybody who paid, and I know about a dozen people that went. They all got free tickets. It could be my relation to the music industry, but I know people outside of the industry. They also went. They did not pay. A lot of times these people just want the seats filled. It doesn't look good for the Rolling Stones if they don't sell out an arena. Also, they're counting on you to buy beer. They're counting on you to buy T-shirts. They're counting on you to buy other merch. Sometimes the money is made on the back end. your seminar, your conference, your boot camp, no different. You're going to make money, hopefully, on the ticket, but sometimes you're going to make money on the back end. We've got a saying in the industry, 1 for the show, 2 for the dough. Sometimes you'll see an event that is videoed. They hope to make the money back later. But again, like the Rolling Stones, they need the crowd there to hype this thing up, to make it look like it was a successful event. All you see are bodies in the audience. You're just assuming because you paid $700 for a ticket, everybody else did as well. That is usually not the case. So let's talk about how to do an event that makes money. First of all, let's talk about the what. Your event has to have focus. It has to have a solution to a problem. People don't want to just get in a room and talk, although that's absolutely part of a live event. Your event has to have focus. No longer do we see the big multi-speaker events like we used to, where it's a success event or it's a motivation event and it's just general. Your event, if you want it to make money, the best chance you've got is to really go niche on this. I'm not saying that you can't have more than one speaker. You should have more than one speaker. Divvy it up. People also don't want to show up at a venue, stay there for 3 days watching one guy talk. The energy has to come up. The energy has to come down. And that can be done with different speakers. If you are not aware of how these multi-day events work, especially when they've got different speakers who may pitch at the end of their session, 50% of the money goes to the speaker, the pitchman. 50% of the money goes to the organizers. In addition, one of the reasons you see multi-speaker events, and this is very common in the internet marketing industry, blogging, podcasting, any of these events, is because speakers also help fill seats. A lot of times there's a revenue split. It's often 50-50, 50% going to the person who sells the ticket, the speaker, 50% going to the organizers. So these across the board are often 50-50 deals. The guy selling something gets half, the organizer gets half. That can help you. It's going to drive your ticket prices up because you've got to give half of it for commission, but at the same time, you're going to have a bigger outreach if you can find a speaker that will sell. But if you are going to go in this direction, make sure you focus. You're about podcasting. Maybe you're even niching down more. You're about making money with podcasting. You're about writing, niche down more. How to write a book in 30 days, how to write a book in 60 days. Whatever you've got, focus on that one goal. You're going to bring more people in. Let's talk about where you should do it, where you hold your event. Number one, hands down, it needs to be a hotel. You can do a conference center like a resort if you want to fly somebody to a destination location, maybe Mexico, maybe the Caribbean islands. But if you're staying on mainland United States, do it in a hotel. They've got the conference space. You can keep people on site. Part of the reason people want to come to events is having a community feel. And if you have it at a hotel where people are staying and where people are working, you're going to help them to do that. My number 2 suggestion for where you should have your event, do it on a cruise ship. It's more or less a floating hotel. You're keeping people there. It's a captive audience. The great thing is people think of it as a vacation. All their food, everything is paid for. And as a bonus, you get your conference space free because you're selling tickets for a cruise ship. I've actually got a friend, he's a cruise agent who works specifically to do big events at sea. And if you're interested in that, I'm happy to give you his information. Reach out to me via Twitter. @David Hooper is my username. Here's something not to do. And this is something that happens all the time. I'm in Nashville. It's the buckle of the Bible Belt. And a lot of times people that are headquartered in Nashville, they think that the way a lot of people think here is the way everybody thinks. It's not uncommon to go to churches that are only used Sunday morning and Wednesday evening. Go to these churches and say, hey, can I use your space to do an event? Never, ever, ever do your event at a church unless you're selling Bibles and that's part of your shtick. In that case, go for it. It's a perfect match. But if you're just in the general market and you're not selling to the Christian market, specifically, you're not selling to the denomination that you're marketing to, never do your event at a church. You're going to get typecast. That can work for you or against you, but unless you want to be thought of as the Christian blogger, the Christian marketer, the Christian podcaster, and that's specifically part of your shtick, do not do your event in a church. Another place not to do it, don't do it at a club. A club is not a serious location. Like a church, these are places that are closed during the week. They're a lot of times closed during the day, but it's not a serious location to do business. People are coming in, they're trying to learn from you, they're paying you money, they're trying to network, and it's just another night at the club to them. Don't do it at a club. It's like wearing a swimsuit to work. It's just not the right match. Are you going to be taken seriously if you were to wear a swimsuit to work? Yeah, if you're a swimsuit model, sure, if you're a lifeguard, but otherwise, those clothes are not a match for the job that you're supposed to do. Just like a church or a club, not a match for your seminar, unless you're specifically selling to a church-oriented office or you're specifically selling to a club-oriented office. Take yourself seriously, get a good hotel. That is where business conferences are done. Which hotel should you use? You've got a lot of options. First of all, you need to be near an airport. And when I say near, within 20 minutes, it would be great if you could do something a little bit closer, unless you're doing a local event. People do not want to land after flying 4 or 5 hours and have to hop a car to the next city over where there is not an airport to come to your event. Your location should be in a major city that's easy to fly to, not suburbs. You don't want to be up in Long Island when you've got people flying to New York City. Don't do it. It needs to be in a major city that's easy to fly to within 20 minutes of where they land. It also needs to be geographically easy to get to. Not as many people are going to come to Seattle as they will Chicago. Chicago, you're hitting everybody from north, south, east, and west. Seattle, everybody's going to the northwest. It's a long flight for a lot of people, especially people in Florida, people on the East Coast. Not as many people are going to go there because a lot of people don't like long flights. So hit somewhere in the middle of the country. The one exception to this, possibly Orlando. And here's the reason. Disney World is an easy sell. He can say, hey, honey, been thinking about going to this convention? Let's go down to Orlando. We'll take the kids, make a vacation of it. It's an easy sell for him to pitch his family on. That's the one place not centrally located that I would suggest. Certainly Las Vegas is great for the same reasons. Not necessarily a place that you want to take your kids to, but if you've got people like me that are entertainers, influencers, maybe they like to drink, like to party a little bit, like to gamble, well, Las Vegas is an easy sell to them. Never, ever do your event in a small town. You can't get flights, even if it's in the middle of the country. If I've got to get on a prop plane, 2 inches propeller, nope, don't do it. To get to a small town, you've got to go to a major city, then get on a puddle jumper. A lot of people don't like to do that, and your options are limited. Believe me, I've been to a ton of small towns. They've got transportation issues, everything that I'm talking about that's an issue here. Small towns have problems, lack of hotels, lack of conference space, lack of getting people there because they're not excited about it, lack of food options, lack of transportation. There are just too many problems. Just because you're in the middle of nowhere in a small town doesn't mean that other people want to come join you there. Go to the big city, do it right, have an event that people are looking forward to. It's going to make your event look a whole lot better. Trust me on this. Small town, you're going to have a problem filling seats. I hit on this just a minute ago. You need to do your event in or right next to a hotel. You need to have an official hotel. People flying in don't have cars. Some people, they don't like to drive in strange places. If they're flying in, they're not going to rent a car and drive 40 miles to get to your venue. Don't count on them to do that. You are missing out on people coming to your event if you make them do that. The more hoops you make them jump through, the fewer people that you're going to have. The best events, people stay at a single hotel. Everybody's there. It's built on a community. You get a discount on space when that happens. You may get free space, which can save you tens of thousands of dollars. The experience people have, it's more than just the daytime stuff. It's more than just the seminars. It's hanging out before the event. It's hanging out after the event. It's grabbing lunch with people. You want to have it all in one place. You want to have food options there. You want a place for people to sleep. You want to have it easy for people to share rides back to the airport together. This is the kind of community that you're building. And if you're going to have that type of community built at your event, you've got to have the right place to do it. Again, you're not going to wear a swimsuit to the business meeting. Just like you'd want the right clothes, you want the right facility. Beyond that, I think the big reason here is you want to keep people on campus. If you've been to Las Vegas, you've seen this. They have everything that you need. They do not want you to leave the hotel. It's not like jail. They can leave if they want to, but they've got the option to do everything that they need to at your venue. You don't want to have somebody get in a car and have to drive 20 minutes, then 20 minutes back when there's a lunch break and you've only given him an hour, maybe 90 minutes. You want to facilitate community and get business done. You do that by having your event all in one place, all in the right location. What about pricing? I mentioned earlier, I've sold tickets for $1,000 a pop. I've also had events that are $97, $29, had all sorts of events, all the way from free to over $1,000. here's what you need to know. Early bird is a great way to get that initial action to your event. If you can discount the price, you're going to bring some people in. You'll know about how many people to expect. You'll know the kind of marketing you need to do. Here's another great thing about it is sometimes you can sell the event out and then you can stop marketing entirely. So I suggest an early bird pricing, maybe even an early bird pricing. The best time to do that is to sell at the previous year's event. If I'm ending an event and everybody's had a good time because I've got my venue right, I've built that community, they're going to want to come back next year. You can sell the event right then for a year from now. If you're going to do that, though, know the dates, know the location. People don't want guesswork. They don't want to invest money in something where they're not sure when it's going to be or where it's going to be. It can't just be like, oh, I'm thinking about doing another event, so write me a big check right now, and I'll let you know which city it's going to be in and what the dates are. No, book the date, book the location, get the check then while they're excited about it, and start planning. You can serve them better. Do a lot of people wait? Yeah, a lot of people wait. In fact, most people wait. Here's why. They want to know if other people are there. They're not just procrastinating. They want to see that this is going to be a successful event. So the more people you can pack in, the earlier your registrations are going to be. But people are still going to wait. We call this the heart attack curve. It looks like the guy's dead and whoop, see a blip. It just goes straight up. Everybody gets it at the last minute and they'll show up. But that's very scary to a venue promoter, and you're putting a lot on the line. That is very scary to a venue promoter. Anything that you can do to keep that heart attack curve from happening, do it. Even if it means discounting the price a little bit earlier, hitting people a little bit harder, get people signed up as soon as possible. That way, you can stop promoting the event and start working on great content, and this thing's going to build upon itself. How much specifically can you charge? Going to the events that I've done them from free all the way up to over $1,000. It really depends on the purpose of the event. If you're looking just to build community, you want your first event, maybe $197, $297, you can get that. You don't want it to be too low because you want people to feel like it's a quality event, and people equate paying more money with quality. But you also want to be able to actually provide that higher quality, and to do that, you're going to need money. So I would say at least $197, $297 if you're doing your first event. If you just want to get something on tape, though, I've seen a lot of people do a $97 event. It's enough money that it will make people invest a little bit and also show up. If you do a free event, the tendency is for people not to show up. An example is that $700 ticket that I got a few days ago. I didn't go. I was too booked. Part of it was just the schedule. They waited till the last minute. I wasn't able to make it because of that, but part of it is because I had no skin in the game. If you can at all help it, don't do a free event. Get them to put up a little something, $97, maybe $100. Get it on tape, 1 for the show, 2 for the dough. Give them a big show, make the money later. Bottom line is this, though. If you're thinking about doing a live event, hats off to you. That is scary as hell. It's a big risk. Have I talked about the story about losing money on this event? I was done with this event, thought it was just fine, but we had some issues with the rooms. We had a huge storm, like a tornado kind of thing, knocking out power, trees down. A lot of southern states affected by this, and a lot of people were driving because this was a music business event. They were bringing in equipment. They wanted to play. They had gigs lined up. It was an issue for me. A lot of people, because of the weather, didn't show up, didn't take the hotels that they'd signed on for. Who's responsible? I'm responsible. A few months after the event, I got a big bill. I think it was $30-something thousand. And what do? Well, you just work around that, I guess. So why would you take the risk of doing a big event like that? Here's the reason. It is the 100% best way to connect with people. Everybody else is on Facebook getting lost. Everybody else is on Twitter. Everybody else is doing this online stuff, whether it's blogs or emails or podcasts. If you really want to connect with somebody, get them in the same room, shake their hand, get to know them, go out to eat with them, stay in the same hotel, share a cab to the airport. That's how you really connect with people. If you want to build a community, this is the way to do it, and that is worth the risk. If you do what I'm talking about doing, if you get the pricing down, if you get the location down, if you have the knowledge of what makes a great event, where the hotel needs to be, what city the thing needs to be in, you can make this happen. It's not rocket science. Plenty of people do it every single day, but go in with your eyes open. Have a plan. Don't just expect people to show up. If I had to recap this, one big tip is that there's a huge risk, but there's also a huge reward. If you've got to start out with a one-day event, do it. $97, one day, knock it out. Teach people something specific, and then move forward from that. Start building the community that way. Maybe you've got a series of one-day events that you do all around the country where you go to them. It is a local event. And these things that I'm talking about aren't so rigid where you have to have venues that people can fly to, venues that people can stay at. Go around the country. Do those one-day events wherever you can. Not a church, not a club, but a real venue, and let people come to you. In that situation, a lot of these rules are a little bit more relaxed. It is scary, but this is the way to build community, and that is what separates you from all those other guys on Facebook and Twitter. Questions or comments, reach out to me. David Hooper is my username on Twitter. I'm happy to answer your questions. I'm happy to talk to you more about having a kick-ass live event. Hey, speaking of communities, we're building one on Red called the Red Insiders. If you go to redpodcast.com, you can become an insider. We've got these conference calls. It's free for you to get in. You can talk to me directly, talk to the other people in the Red community. Would love to have you be part of this. No charge. Just go to redpodcast.com. Get signed up for that. While you're there, you can subscribe via iTunes and make sure you never miss an episode. Thanks for sticking with me in the transition to Red 2.0. Looking forward to seeing you again, and I'll do that soon on the next episode of Red Podcast.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.